"Clean up that spilled wine, you pathetic servant." Victoria Blackstone screamed at Maria, throwing the glass at her feet. She had no idea that in 24 hours, this pathetic servant would become her new boss and owner of everything she thought was hers. Maria Santos was 52 years old and had spent the last 20 years serving the Blackstone family. Every morning she woke at 5 a.m., cleaned the massive estate, prepared meals, and endured the family's every whim. She was a small, humble woman, her brown hair always pulled back in a tight bun, her simple uniform always clean but worn. The Blackstone family was one of America's wealthiest dynasties. Charles Blackstone, 78, had built a multi-billion-dollar empire spanning textiles, real estate, and technology. His wife Eleanor had died 15 years ago, leaving him with 3 children: Victoria, 45, ruthless and arrogant; Marcus, 42, lazy and irresponsible; and the youngest, Diana, 38, manipulative and calculating. Maria had witnessed this family's worst behaviors. They berated employees, pretended to donate to charities while keeping the money, and cheated business partners. But Maria continued working quietly because she needed this job. That evening was Charles Blackstone's birthday party. The mansion was filled with America's most important business people and politicians. Maria, as always, was serving the guests. Victoria Blackstone had been drinking champagne and was in high spirits. In her expensive Versace dress and diamond necklace, she felt like the queen of the party. She was telling her friends about how wealthy her father was, counting the fortunes she would soon inherit. "Maria!" Victoria shouted, her red wine glass swaying in her hand. "This glass is dirty. Bring me a new one." Maria approached Victoria. "Of course, madam," she said quietly. But just then, the glass slipped from Victoria's hand and spilled onto the expensive carpet. Victoria's face flushed with anger. "How can you be so clumsy?" she shrieked. All the guests stared at her. "You've been working here for 20 years, and you still can't do a simple job." As Maria bent down to clean up, Victoria stopped her. "Wait," she said. "First apologize. Apologize to me in front of everyone." Maria stood up, her face red. "I'm sorry, madam." "Not enough." Victoria's voice grew louder. "Get on your knees and apologize. Show everyone how worthless you are." The salon fell silent. The guests were uncomfortable, but didn't intervene. Even Charles Blackstone said nothing. Maria, filled with shame, knelt down. "I'm deeply sorry, madam. It won't happen again." Victoria smiled. "That's better. Now clean up this mess and don't let me see your face again." Maria, holding back tears, took the cleaning supplies and cleaned the salon. The guests continued talking as if nothing had happened. But that night, Charles Blackstone had a heart attack in his bedroom. He was rushed to the hospital at 2 a.m. and died at 6 a.m. The family members gathered at the hospital. Victoria, Marcus, and Diana tried to appear sad about their father's death, but they were actually thinking about inheritance distribution. "I spoke with Dad's lawyer," Marcus said. "The will reading will be tomorrow." "Finally," Diana said with a smile. "Now our real life begins." Victoria agreed. "I always knew this day would come. I'm sure Dad left me the biggest share of his fortune." The next day, the will would be read in the grand salon of the Blackstone mansion. Lawyer Harold Mitchell had been Charles's friend for 30 years and handled family affairs. The family members, dressed in black, sat around the large table. Victoria, Marcus, and Diana waited with dollar signs in their eyes. Harold Mitchell put on his glasses and opened the will document. "The last wishes and testament of Charles Blackstone," he began. "To my dearest children," he read, "I gave you a beautiful life, education, and opportunities, but none of you developed real character." Victoria frowned. This wasn't the beginning she expected. Harold continued. "Victoria, you are ruthless and arrogant. I watched you torture weak people. Marcus, you are lazy and irresponsible. You lived off my money, but never produced anything. Diana, you are manipulative and fake. You learned to use people, but never learned to love them." The salon froze. The children looked at each other, not knowing what to say. "Therefore," Harold continued, "I leave all my wealth, my companies, my assets." Everyone held their breath. "Why, to Maria Santos, who has faithfully served my family for 20 years, whom I respected every day, but none of you treated as human." The silence was heavy. Victoria's mouth fell open. Marcus fell from his chair. Diana's eyes filled with tears. "This is impossible," Victoria screamed. Maria is a servant. Dad must have lost his mind. Harold continued calmly. Additionally, Charles recorded the treatment Maria endured every day. Security camera footage, audio recordings, witness statements, all document the injustices done to Maria. Just then, the salon door opened. Maria entered, but she was no longer the old Maria. She wore an elegant black dress. Her hair was professionally styled, her posture confident and determined. "Hello," Maria said, her voice no longer holding any trace of submission. "I think we need to get acquainted." Victoria jumped up. "This is ridiculous. Maria, you're just a servant. You can't take this money." Maria smiled. "Victoria, last night you made me kneel. You humiliated me in front of your guests. For 20 years, you treated me like a slave." "Because that's what you are," Victoria shrieked. "No," Maria said calmly. "I was the person Charles valued most. He loved me like a daughter." Harold intervened. "Charles' will contains other details. He didn't just leave money to Maria. Also, this house, all the companies, stocks, overseas investments, everything." Marcus leaned forward. "How much money are we talking about?" $12.5 billion, Harold said. Diana almost fainted. "This is impossible. To Maria." "To servant Maria?" Maria moved to the head of the large table. "I am now the head of this family, and your employer, too." Victoria shouted angrily. "Never. I'll take this will to court. This isn't fair." "You can," Maria said, "but Charles's will has one more condition." Harold read, "If any of my children contest this will, Maria has the right to present all evidence against them in the lawsuit she will file." "What does that mean?" Marcus asked. Maria took out her phone and played a video. On the screen, Victoria's humiliation of Maria from last night was visible. "This is just one example," Maria said. "There are 20 years of recordings." Harold continued, "If you contest, these recordings will be made public. The media will see how you treated a servant. Your reputation in the business world will be destroyed." Victoria's face turned pale. Diana started crying. Marcus buried his head in his hands. "So what do we do?" Marcus asked. Maria stood up. "This house is no longer your home, but I am merciful. I offer you this. I'll give each of you $5,000 monthly allowance. But I have conditions." "What conditions?" Diana asked. "You'll leave this house within a week. You'll build your own lives. You'll find jobs. And you'll never treat me or anyone else like this again." Victoria stood up. "This is an insult. I'm a Blackstone. I don't work." "Then no allowance either," Maria said coldly. "The choice is yours." Harold pulled out new documents. Additionally, Charles gave Maria full authority, managing the company, changing investments, hiring and firing employees. Everything is in Maria's hands. Maria sat at the table. "My first task will be to raise all employees' salaries, especially cleaning staff, security guards, drivers. They are the real heroes." Victoria's eyes filled with tears. "Maria, please, I made a mistake. I'm sorry." "Last night you asked me to apologize," Maria said. "Now it's your turn." Victoria hesitated, then slowly knelt down. "I'm sorry, Maria. I treated you very badly." Maria looked at Victoria for a long time. "Get up, Victoria. I don't want anyone to kneel, but actions have consequences." A week later, Victoria, Marcus, and Diana moved out of the house. Victoria moved to a small apartment and started working as a sales associate in a store. Marcus became a waiter in a restaurant. Diana became a secretary in an office. At first, they struggled greatly. For the first time in their lives, they were working, trying to budget. But over time, they began to learn real life. Maria, meanwhile, was fulfilling Charles's dream. She managed the companies more fairly, more humanely. She protected workers' rights and made real donations to charities. 6 months later, Victoria came to visit Maria. She looked very different now, more humble, more real. "Maria," Victoria said, "I want to thank you." "For what?" "For teaching me real life. I'm working for the first time, earning my own money. For the first time, I've done something that made someone say thank you to me." Maria smiled. "This is your achievement, Victoria. You changed." "Dad did the right thing," Victoria said. "You really deserved this fortune." A year later, the Blackstone empire grew even larger under Maria's management, but money was never the most important thing for her. The most important thing was honoring Charles' memory and showing respect to people. Victoria, Marcus, and Diana learned to stand on their own feet. It was difficult, but eventually they became better people. And Maria. She became Charles' greatest achievement because she had something money could never buy: real character. Charles' will had one final note: Maria, you became the daughter I never had. I'm not giving you this money just to make you rich. I'm giving it to you to honor humanity. And Maria carried this responsibility every day. This story taught us that real value is not money but character, and sometimes the greatest inheritance is forcing someone to become a real human being. Did this video touch you? Don't forget to like and subscribe to Elite Justice for more stories of justice served.